Alright, so welcome back. I made my piece in the last video about a very thorny moral issue, and hopefully I'm not going to pay the price for being honest, but I was trying to be honest. I'm not trying to, I wasn't advocating, legislating anything, or I'm just telling you my own personal views on the topic, and I'm just going to leave it at that. So if you don't agree, it's fine. I hope we can still be friends, and if we can't because it's a non-starter for you, I'm sure there's a channel that you can go to where every idea is lockstep with your ideology. I get that. I'm not an ideologue. I'm a thinker, and I'm somebody who looks at each issue individually, and I come to a conclusion, and then, you know, I make my own choices based on that. As far as my views on what is going to happen to Tulsi Gabbard next. This is key because we've already seen the onslaught of, hey, you're an Assad sympathizer, and so forth. I think what they're going to focus on, to be honest with you, I mean, I guess the anti-war stuff is kind of like the new third rail of American politics, but there's a fourth rail. It's maybe even more crazier to touch on the fourth rail than the third rail. And the fourth rail is our relationship with Israel. And a few weeks back, as you know, Representative Ilan Omar, who is a Muslim, I think of Somali descent, and all this stuff, by the way, I mean, people started digging up all kinds of stuff about her after she made this remark. The media, by the way, across the spectrum, and of course Congress, more or less condemned everything that she said, even though I don't think what she said was overly offensive. It's just that you can't go against Israel. You cannot say, why are we giving so much foreign aid to this particular country? And somebody who's smarter than me would say, well, Dave, it's because they're the only democracy in the region, and they do our bidding for us. And we want to have a good relationship with them so we can influence their elections, and we can, you know, dominate the area and be allied in our perpetuation of endless war. So it does kind of go back to the endless war, anti-war stuff. What's fascinating to me is that the American people don't see, when it comes to giving foreign aid, they're okay with giving foreign aid to this country. They're more than okay. And I believe it's the fourth rail, and I think that's where they're going to go. They're going to come at Tulsi Gabbard with, so do you sympathize with Representative Omar? Because you know that Israel is a strategic partner of ours, and President Trump has a great relationship with Israel and Benjamin Netanyahu, who, by the way, literally fired back at Representative Omar and made a joke about the Benjamins and so forth. And obviously this woman got under everyone's skin. And I don't react the same way that I used to react to this. Before, I would have been the lemming and just said, yeah, condemn her, she's bad. But now I'm like, well, what did she say? Because why is it ticking everybody off? I want to know what she said. And then I want to listen to what she said. I don't want to hear the soundbite that they take out of context. I didn't hear any anti-Semitism. I mean, here's the difference. You can be against policies of a country and not be, like, against the people, per se. You know, it's like that distinction that, you know, you're of this religion, and all of a sudden I'm anti-Semitic. I mean, it doesn't really make sense. It's just a bizarre kind of designation, and it's taken on like it's its own life. Whoever you tune into on the political spectrum, and I've got to honestly say this, the people on the right and the hard right and the religious right, which again I explained this in a video because, you know, I consider myself a Christian and I've studied the Bible a little bit, and this notion that the Messiah hasn't shown up yet and the Jews are waiting for that Messiah, and Christians believe that Jesus is the Messiah, but yet all the Christians who believe this theology think that the Jews are the chosen people. Well, they don't believe the way you believe, so how can they be the chosen people? I'm just throwing that out there because it's perplexing to me. And, you know, they go into all this detail about, you know, what happened in the Old Testament and how that's foreseen. And 1947, this happened. In 1967, this happened. And it was all predicted in the Bible. And it's just like, okay, because, but they don't believe in, you know, Christian, they don't believe in Jesus. So I just wanted to throw that in there because it's really weird to me. It doesn't make sense, and nobody talks about it. Nobody says, yeah, but the theology, we've, you know, and a whole group of people all over, you know, the Bible Belt, all over, believe that, hey, you can't touch these people. You can't say anything negative about them. It's like manifest destiny for them. They're going to rule the world or something to that nature. I don't know. So I reject both the theology and the idea itself that no country is touchable in the way. I don't mean it like, in other words, you can talk about any country and critique what they're doing, and we can talk about who we're sending money to. I mean, why can't we do that? That's just weird. So I think they're going to go after Tulsi Gabbard on this because she sympathized with Omar's position. She tried to kind of be diplomatic and say, well, I don't think you guys were listening to what she was saying, because I think she was trying to bring another point forward. She got it, completely got it, but I think she was so, I don't want to say afraid, but she knew if she had stepped on that fourth rail, that would have been the headline tomorrow. You know, Tulsi Gabbard agrees with Omar. You know, and I think she does agree with Omar. And I'm surprised that they haven't gone after her about that yet. And that's why I think they're sandbagging that. Because if she goes to the debates, the anti-war stuff, it's actually going to help Tulsi Gabbard every time they bring up an unconstitutional war. It's gonna help, because she can say, you know, did Congress declare war? I mean, separation of powers, I mean, what happened to that? You know, we're running off the same declaration that we made in 2004 as some kind of blanket. We didn't get anything for Venezuela. We're going down there literally trying to do regime change. And it's not just like a catchy phrase like these regime change wars are bad. Yeah, they're bad, and it's not a catchphrase. And every time you turn on the news, you hear about the United States is in this country, and they're trying to overthrow and topple this guy. Once they get done with Venezuela, Bolton, I think, wants to go somewhere else. I heard there's a rumor that there are a couple of other countries that are on the docket. And is this what we want as Americans? I mean, this is what I mean by the big issues, the important issues. I'm not saying that, you know, the moral and social issues aren't important. They are, but in the larger scheme of things, we can't have any discussion on any of those issues until we get our house in order, because we're not going to have a house. Our house is going to be bye-bye, foreclosed on by the military-industrial complex. It's just what's going to happen. And Tulsi Gabbard speaking out about this issue, or actually being on the right side of it, it really opens up, like, you know, she's going to take slings and arrows. Now, I know if anybody can deal with this, it's going to be her. And again, maybe some people will get educated, but I think there's a certain kind of blindness to this one, because everyone, pretty much on both sides of the aisle, accept the premise. Whereas if you don't accept the premise, then you're an anti-Semite. And that's weird. That's really weird to me. I don't completely understand that. And because it really shuts down any critical thinking on the issue. And so that's why we're in the predicament we're in, because so many people have been shut down by narratives that become fact, even though they're just narratives. Narratives aren't facts. If somebody starts a narrative, hey, you know, this person's anti-Semitic because they're questioning where the money went. Well, why is that anti-Semitic? So, and then if you say that, you're even more anti-Semitic at that point. So, based on what I've seen as far as the media coverage, CNN, the way they handle it, MSNBC, all of these different channels, the way they handle this issue, they say, well, we like progressive, but we don't like that. Or we like Democrat, but we don't like that. You know? And it's not about liking, you know, like thinking that Representative Omar is, you know, because she's a Muslim, she's going to take a lot of grief for taking that position on top of it. Because she's going to be looked at as suspiciously. All these, you know, rednecks across the country, excuse me, because I could be considered one of them maybe, are going to think to themselves, well, it's just another infiltrator, and we got to go get her and get her out of Congress, and we got to primary her. And it's like, she's actually speaking truth. That's the sad thing. And you'd have to sit somebody in a room and say, why do we give money to this country? Well, they're going to do... No, why? What happened to America First? Remember America First? Why does America First stop at Israel? You know what I'm saying? It's like, America First is okay, but, you know, Israel, they're like America, so it's Israel and then America First. You know, I think I tweeted out Donald Trump's new foreign policy or new slogan in 2020 is Israel First, you know? It's weird. It's not what I voted for. Our country is going to continue to do this stuff unless we take the blinders off to it. That's the bizarre thing. So, I think Tulsi's going to get hit on this because it's low-hanging fruit for these mainstream media group thinkers who are all going to get together and say, we got her here. We may not get her on Antiwar because that seems to be working in her favor. You know, and if we talk about this too much, people might hear the truth about our war machine and how bad it is, and then, you know, those ad revenue dollars are going to go down the tubes because we got military people that advertise, or it's all tied together. I mean, somebody can do a better flow chart of where the media is tied to the military-industrial complex because it's all tied together. And that's one thing, and most Americans will hear that, and they may respond, and they'll be like, wow, those are some good ideas. Let's get the hell out of these foreign disasters. But then when they hear the stuff about Israel, the brainwashing has been complete. And I don't think you're going to get them out of that very quickly. And I'm hoping that Tulsi can fight through it, but that's the one where I think it could do some damage, and it could derail any of these candidates. Pretty much Tulsi and Bernie are the only two that might have these views. Everybody else, just going to go along with the same stuff that we've been doing for decades, and Israel can do no wrong, which every country can do wrong. It's, I don't know. I don't have much more to say about this, but let's just make sure that we're telling our friends and neighbors that foreign aid to any country that's out of proportion with what we spend here at home is not America First. It's a disaster. All right, so done with this video. No more moral issues for me. I learned my lesson. It's going to be all Tulsi all the time.